Hello and welcome, Sudoku friends. I copied this evil puzzle from Sudoku.com over to SudokuExchange.com's user interface. I fully expect this to be difficult, so let's see how I'm going to do. I haven't seen this puzzle before. As I said, it is an evil level puzzle. I will try to solve it without using pencil marks. The first digit that I can find is an 8. It must go here because of this 8 and this 8. They block all of these cells, of course, so this must be an 8. Well, at least I found one digit, and I know I can find one more because the 5 here blocks these cells, and the 5 here blocks these cells, so this has got to be a 5. And I can see that because of this 1 blocking this cell, a 1 will need to go here or here, because of the 1 here, of course. And that means that one of these two cells must be a 1. And furthermore, the 9 here and the 9 here, of course, forces a 9 into this cell. And that means that one of these two cells will have to be a 9. The other cell must be a 4 because of the 4 here blocking the cell and the 4 here blocking these two cells. So these two cells have to be a 4 and a 9. And that leaves a 2, 3, and a 7 to complete the column. There's a 2 and a 7 here, so this must be a 3 now. And this is a 2 or a 7, and this is a 2 or a 7. So if this is a 2 or a 7, and this 1 blocks this cell, then this must be a 1, and this also now must be a 2 or a 7. Because this cell cannot be a 4 due to the 4 here, and this cell also can't be a 4 due to the 4 here. The 4 for this column 2 must go here. We also need to find a 6 for the same column 2, and there's a 6 here and here, and they block these two cells. Therefore, this top cell must be a 6. Now we're looking at a 2, 7 here, a 2, 7 here, and a 2, 7 here, except this, of course, cannot be a 7 due to the 7 present in this row. So this is a 2. That makes this a 7 and this a 2. This 2 blocks this cell, and this 2 blocks this one. Therefore, this cell must be a 2. Now we are looking at a missing 7 and 5 for these two cells. There's a 5 already present in the column, therefore this must be a 7 and this must be a 5. So in addition to the 1 that we already found that will have to go in one of these two cells, the other cell now must be a 7. So 1, 7, 4, 9. Let's see if that will bring us on to the next digit. It doesn't look like it. But it's clear that this cell must be a 2 because there's already a 2 here that is blocking these two cells. So this is a 2. Now these two must be a 7 and a 3. There's a 7 in this column, therefore the 3 will go here and the 7 must go here. This 4 and this 4 block these 5 cells. This 4 blocks these two cells. That means that this cell must be a 4 in column 9. And that means that one of these two cells now must be a 4. There's an 8 here and there's an 8 here. They block these 5 cells. And that means that this cell must be an 8. I can see that this 1 and 8 and this 1 and 8 will leave 1 and an 8 for these 3 cells. They have to go in 2 of them. There's a 5 here and there's a 5 here. And that puts a 5, of course, in this cell right here. And now these two cells will have to be a 3 and a 2. This cell cannot be a 2 because of the 2 up here. Therefore, this is a 3 and this is a 2. And this 2 and this 2 and this 2 now force a 2 into this cell. And that means that this 3 and this 3 force a 3 into this cell. And that gives a nice pattern, doesn't it? Because now I have a 3 and a 6 here, and I have a 3 and a 6 here. So 3s and 6s are accounted for in rows 7 and 9. We need to find a 3 and a 6 for row 8. And since all of these cells cannot contain a 3 and a 6, these two cells now must be a 3 and a 6. And since these two cells are now busy being a 3 and a 6, I'm looking at the 2 up here and I'm looking at the 2 here. So a 2, and I'm looking at the 2 here. So all of these cells here cannot be 2s. Therefore, one of these two cells must be a 2 now. And it just occurred to me that we need to find a 7 for one of these two cells. And we know now that it cannot go here. Well, first of all, there is a 7 up here, so these two cells cannot be a 7. And this cell cannot be a 7 because of this 7. We just figured out that a 3 and a 6 need to go in these two cells, and therefore this cell also cannot be a 7. That means that this cell now is a 7. And that 7 and that 7 and that 7 gives me this 7 and therefore this 1. That was nice. And now this 1 blocks these cells. This 1 blocks these cells. These two cannot be 1s because they have to be 3 and 6. Therefore, this is a 1. And that makes this a 1, of course. These two empty cells, of course, need to be a 5 and a 9. The 9 can't go here, and I will explain why. This 9 blocks these two cells, and therefore one of these two cells must be a 9, and therefore this cell cannot be a 9. Ergo, it's a 5, and the 9 goes here. Now, this 5 and this 5 and this 5 gives me 5 for column 9, must go here. These two remaining empty cells must be a 3 and a 6. The 3 can't go here because of this 3, therefore it must be a 6, and therefore this is a 3. And the other one, as we recall, is a 6, of course. The remaining two cells need to be a 2 and a 9, and as we remember, a 9 will have to go in one of these two cells, and therefore this cannot be a 9, and therefore it must be a 2, and the 9 must go here. This 2 and this 2 force a 2 into this cell. The last digit here is going to be a 3. These two digits now have to be a 6 and a 7. And that makes these two a 9 and a 3. There's a 3 already in this row, so the 3 cannot go here. Therefore, it's a 9. The 3 goes here. Now, this 9 and this 9 and this 9 force a 9 into this cell. These two have to be a 1 and an 8, and these two have to be a 6 and a 4. This cannot be a 6 because there's a 6 already in this column. Therefore, it must be a 4, and the 6 therefore goes here. and the 6 here and here now force a 6 into the center cell like so, and that makes this a 6 and this a 7. And the 7 here and the 7 here, of course, force a 7 into this cell like so. The last digit here is a 4 now. And these two cells have to be a 1 and an 8. They will just have to wait a second, won't they? But the 9 here puts a 9 in this cell, and the last digit here, of course, was a 4. We remember that. The 4 here and the 4 here block these three cells, therefore this is a 4. The last digit that we need for row 8 is going to be a 1, and that gives us this 1 and this 1. This is now an 8, and this is an 8, and this is an 8. And this now must be a 5, and everything should be green if I did this correctly. Yes, this was, on the surface, it was very simple, but there were a couple of places where I needed to think a little, and that's always nice. I hope that you enjoyed this puzzle and that you will come back for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.